Hi guys, this is Kwan here with Continental. Today I'm sitting here virtually with Warren Kirschbaum, the managing attorney of Title Church Services. Hi Warren.
How you doing, Kwan?
Good, good. So I've received many questions that open up a very important subject, which is distressed properties. Can you help us understand the difference between a short sale and foreclosure?
Sure. The difference between a short sale and a foreclosure. A foreclosure is the process by which the bank will actually take the property back from a borrower after not paying for it and going through a lengthy process. It'll eventually get sold at the courthouse steps, which is really online these days, as opposed to
Hmm.
a short sale, which is generally done during the foreclosure process when somebody's sort of in distress, but it lets them negotiate with the bank. If they owe the bank 200,000, but the property is only worth 150,000,
Right.
then the bank will accept that lesser amount. And normally you couldn't have a regular sale because there wouldn't be enough funds for a payoff. So a short sale is a way to negotiate directly with the lender and the seller, as opposed to just taking your chances bidding at the courthouse.
Okay. And generally, what is better, a short sale or a foreclosure, for a home buyer?
For the buyer, and
Yes.
probably also for the seller, I would think a short sale, because when it allows you to actually negotiate, you get clear title to the property.
Hmm.
I've run into investors who don't know what they're doing, and they wind up buying a foreclosure that still has other liens on it. Doesn't wipe out all
Mm,
liens. You have to know what you're looking for. So that's a big risk, and I've seen people lose a lot of money doing
right.
that. As opposed to a short sale will seem like a traditional sale, except you have this third party, the bank, that's approving different things. Like they actually approve the amount that they're going to receive and what items are allowed to be paid as part of the sale.
Right. And I also understand that the term short sale can be misleading. Is the process really short?
No, the process itself, Quan, is definitely not short.
Right.
In that extent, they should call it a long sale. Plan on it taking at least a couple. If a traditional sale would take a month and a half, can plan on
Exactly. Uh-huh.
3 months to be safe. So don't, if you're planning on moving in right away, don't, because the bank, sometimes they have to go, the person who the person makes their payments to is our servicer, and then that servicer generally has to go to the actual investor. So the process can take a long time to go through.
Okay, got it. And let's spend a couple minutes on the risk. I know, as we all know, getting these properties, what the benefit is that you're getting it for a good deal, but a lot of people might not realize the risk of these stress properties. So, what are the
Sure.
cons? Yeah, what are the cons of these distressed properties, Warren?
Well, in a foreclosure, there's some big risks. One, you may not have the opportunity to see the inside of the property.
Mm,
In Palm Beach County, for example, the court on their website lists all the upcoming foreclosures.
right.
There might be 100 that are listed for a certain day, but there's opportunities for people like doing things such as a short sale or
Uh-huh.
refinancing their mortgage. So if there's 100 originally listed, there might only be 20 that actually get sold. So you have to do your research on a lot of
Mm,
potential properties. And then you don't know, if you don't actually look at the title for each one, you can end up buying a property that has other liens. I see people who buy, besides lenders, also homeowners associations can foreclose on a property.
oh,
And it
you're
seems
right.
like and you might see a property that you think is worth 200,000, and the bids are only at 15 or 16,000.
Uh-huh.
And I had somebody who did this, and they bought it property for 20,000. They thought they got the best deal in the world,
Right.
until then the bank came the next month, and then they foreclosed on their lien and wiped out this
Wow.
guy's $20,000. So that's one just risk of the foreclosure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is not knowing anything about the inside of the property. You have no right to inspect. You have to put up, in Florida, you put up 10% before you even bid. So if you
Right.
put up $20,000, you can bid up to $200,000. Now let's say you win the auction. You have 24 hours to wire the clerk the balance. If you don't, you lose that initial 10%. So that's also a big risk. Even if you found out something terrible about the property after you won, there's nothing you
Right.
can do about it. You'd lose those funds. So that's another big risk of the foreclosure. On the short sale, at least things are in your control. There are
Mm-hmm.
risks, but you're going to have a title company doing the search. One of the things that comes into as a problem is that the sellers generally are broke. That is why that they're selling if they didn't make their payments.
Right.
So usually, besides not paying their mortgage, they also haven't paid other things, which could have become liens on the property.
Right.
And this is part of a negotiation, but let's say you're 3 months in, you're finally ready to close on the property, and the homeowners association now goes, oh, by the way, they haven't paid in 2 years. They also owe $20,000. Now, in a normal sale, the seller would have to pay for that. Here, the seller has no money, and it becomes the buyer's option. If they still want to go through, they have to. Sometimes you can negotiate it, but there still winds up being things that a buyer will end up paying for in a short sale, even that are outside. Even if you put it in the contract that they're not going to, if you want it to go through, there are things that have to get paid, and it seems invariably that's what happens with short sales.
Right. And then with these properties, majority of them are not well maintained, right? So not only do you have the lien problems, you also might have structural problems within these
Correct.
homes.
Right. But the advantage in a short sale is you can do your inspection, and that becomes part of the negotiation with the bank. Hey, this property needs a new roof. That's $20,000. This property's air conditioner is going out. That's $5,000. That's not something you can do when you're buying it at the courthouse steps. It is something you can do, and that definitely does come into play when you're negotiating a short sale with the bank.
Okay. And if the home does not get sold through the auction, what happens to it?
Okay, so let's say, the bank usually has a bid that they put in, which usually is the amount that they're owed. So let's say they're owed $200,000 and nobody bids more than $150,000. The property then goes back to the bank, and at that point, generally they will assign an agent to it. Sometimes they'll fix it up. Generally, just clean it out, or evict the people who are living in there as well. And I forgot to mention that earlier too, as a disadvantage. If you buy a property to foreclosure, the people are generally still living there. Then after you win, you still have to go in and evict them and hope that they don't damage the property afterwards.
Okay.
So it's another big risk.
Right. So so if the foreclosure, if it does not get sold through auction, then it goes to an agent as an REO. Then you have, your options of going in there and getting the inspection plus
Correct.
Right, the proper inspection.
Absolutely. And you might have gotten the same price you could have gotten at the foreclosure or short sale once the bank's had an opportunity to realize everything is wrong as well. And at least you know that you're covered.
Right. So what are the proper steps that home buyers or investors should do if they're looking into these deals?
One, unless you're very experienced, I would not be looking at foreclosures. There's too much research that you have to do for a multitude of properties that you may not even have the opportunity to do. For short sales, I think your average investor or buyer can go after, because it's going to be the same process that you as an agent can help them through with. It's just going to take longer because you have this third party, the bank, that's sort of signing off on everything. So I think that's more appropriate unless you're a very sophisticated investor.
Got it. Well, thank you so much today, Warren, for your time. And for all the investor and home buyers out there, I would definitely suggest do your homework, do your due diligence, talk to your professional, your realtor, lawyer, and a lender before you go out and blindly go on and purchase these properties.
Thanks, Quan. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.